Let us start. Since around 1990, people began to talk about the globalization of capitalism. It was because after the fall of the former Soviet bloc, the capitalist market economy became global. However, globalization did not start then, but the very beginning of modern capitalism, which arose with the formation of the world market. To be specific, the world market appears when the formally separate trade zones of world empires, such as China, Europe, India, and Turkey, were interwoven. In the modern world market, for the first time, a single world which has no outside was formed. It has been said that globalization threatens the existence of nation-state. It is true that the contours of nation-states are blurred when not only commodities but also capital and labor move beyond national borders. But what should be noted is that modern nation-states were formed under globalization of capitalism. It is impossible to think of the nation-state from its inside alone, disregarding its relation with the outside. The nation-state has been constantly affected by other nations and their economy. Nation-states react to world capitalism and try to overcome the problems brought by it. For instance, when no countermeasures are taken, world capitalism necessarily results in economic disparities and conflict. But the nation, which by its nature points to communality and equality, demands solutions for the disparities brought by capitalism. The state carries this out by various regulations and redistribution of wealth through taxation. Capitalist economy, nation, state, and state are based on different principles, but here they are conjugated in such a way that they complement each other. As a matter of fact, the term nation-state refers to two entities that fundamentally differ in kind. Now, we must add to nation-state another different element, the capitalist economy. I would like to call this the capital nation-state. These three entities constitute a Bromian ring. The conjugation of capital nation-state stands on a delicate balance. How it operates cannot be understood from within one state, because each state depends on its relations with other states. As an example, let us consider the welfare state. This is where the Bromian ring of capital nation-states appears to be working most effectively. However, this was a form taken by advanced capitalist states out of the fear and rivalry with so-called socialist states. Without the implementation of social welfare, the capitalist state would have been dismantled. But also explains why the motivation for social welfare states withered away, along with the decline and fall of the socialist bloc. With the decline of that rival, competition with other capitalist nations took precedence. As a result, the cheap government started to be advocated. Capital can go abroad and drive domestic workers into joblessness because putting capital's profit first will eventually benefit the people most. Such is an attitude that has permeated. The various counter-movements can be observed in many parts of the world, but in developed countries, there's no prospect of abolishing such an attitude altogether. The best we can see is social democracy, which affirms the free competition of the market economy, but attempts to softly control it. However, this means remaining within the framework of capital nation state. Here, there is no attempt to imagine something that goes beyond capital nation state. Meanwhile, in developing countries, there are movements to counter capital nation state. But this often takes the form of exclusive nationalism or cultural or religious fundamentalism. This cannot provide a universal vision for going beyond capital nation state either. In order to understand the current situation, let us look back just a few decades. In 1971, Noam Chomsky gave a talk entitled Government in the Future. According to him, there are 4 possible types of government to be taken in advanced industrial society: liberalism, welfare state capitalism, state socialism, and libertarian socialism. These 4 types are represented in chart 1, figure 1. Yeah. The vertical line in the diagram divides the 2 spheres of regulation on the top and liberty on the bottom. And the horizontal line divides the spheres of inequality on the left and equality on the right. The chart reads from the upper right-hand quadrant and moves counterclockwise, A, B, C, D. So the state socialism, A, is the state-controlled system of producer-consumer cooperatives. To be concrete, it is the so-called communism represented by Soviet Russia. At the time of Chomsky's talk, Soviet Russia was considered an advanced industrial society and also seen as a model of industrial development for developing nations. The state capitalism, B, is a system that leaves the capitalist market economy as it stands, but tries to solve its problems through Keynesian state intervention and the redistribution of wealth. This is the modern welfare state. This can be called social democracy in most cases. As for liberalism, C, Chomsky explained this through the example of Humboldt, but it should rather be understood as economic liberalism after Adam Smith. In the 1960s, its representative was Friedrich Hayek. It was Hayek who criticized Keynesianism and social democracy for strengthening the state and leading down the road to serfdom, even if they could not be equated with state socialism, A. This is the origin of today's neoliberalism. However, such laissez-faire capitalism inevitably brings about economic disparities. Thus, it is equally inevitable that even after the extinction of state socialism A in the 1990s, welfare state capitalism B should remain.